What's good, YT family? It's your brother ELI coming with another 90s video. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Much appreciate the love. Much appreciate the support. Hope everybody's doing well. So, today is things I learned from the military, part 1. The number one thing, and I feel like this thing has changed my life so much, was when you even feel fearful, when you're scared to do something, you worried about doing something, the best thing to do in that moment is to act. And I know as simple as it may sound, but the military, and shout out to all my branches of the military, whether you're Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army, even the Coast Guard. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters. They teach us to act even when we are fearful, even when we are hesitant. And some people naturally just have a very much a passive personality trait. But I feel that the military makes everyone comfortable with acting in fear. And I'm one of those people who I grew up very fearful as a child, like very, my mother used to always say I was a worry child. I always used to worry about a lot of things and put a lot of stress on myself. Even sometimes I'm probably very much hard on myself. I'll be honest, man, growing up, I definitely felt that I was a passive child. And what I mean by that is that I felt that I had a very good childhood, and I had a childhood that was very much eventful, active. But there was a lot of things that now that I'm 30 years old, I look back and I see that I could have acted and been a little bit more affirmative and courageous, in simplicity. And those things, that I'm learning now as I get older, could have served me well in that time period. And maybe the game just had to teach me. Maybe I wouldn't, if I would have learned this in, at a younger age, I, probably would things would have been a lot different from my, my upbringing. But as you say, what I'm saying, it's, everything happens, at the time, everything happens for a reason. And the time, what I'm saying, definitely is for a reason as well. So, the military, once I joined at 25 years old, that was something that definitely was unlocked for sure. As far as my personality was that acting when you're scared, when you're worried, when you're not sure is the best thing to do in that moment. I think a lot of times we worry about the opinions of other people. And I don't want to get too deep into that, because that might probably bleed into part 2 of this series that I thought of. But yeah, acting, taking action, whatever things that you want to do in life, whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that your goal is. And I think, unfortunately, with everyone pretty much putting their own opinions on what success looks like, and I don't know what success looks like to you, and you don't know what success looks like to me, but you would know it for yourself when it's there. Society has put this blanket picture or image of what success looks like to everyone, and now everyone's trying to fit the same mold and the same archetype. But taking action with it, or taking action first, even if whatever it is that you envision for success, it's going to take action. That's the number one thing it's going to take. Some people can say planning, which I do believe that. I do believe strategy is a very key component of it. But I think that planning has never been the problem of man. I think strategy is it's one of human beings' strongest suits. It's probably the one thing that separates us from animals, right? It's just the ability to plan, the ability to strategize, the ability, even though I know animals do too. The animals, they actually are amazing at strategy, but it's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? And humans, men specifically, we are strategists, right? We do plan, and we do, put things in motion, in a very calculated way. But unfortunately, to me, what makes the 1%, 10%, the small percentage of people who are successful, and like I said, that's all subjective. The one thing that separates them is the fearlessness of action. Even when they're scared, even when they're worried, even when they're not sure, even when they probably don't truly want to do something, because for whatever emotions, whatever feelings that they have is telling them not to do it, and embarrassment and all this stuff like that, they still do it. They still do it. And I admire those people, and I learned from those people that, have that personality trait naturally, right? I feel like I'm building upon it brick by brick, and that is my goal, right? Is to not be fearless, but even when I do have fear, I still act, and I still strive forward, and I still step up forward and stand in the forefront and stand in the gap and do what I need to do for what success looks like to me. And I don't know what success looks like to you. Maybe you should put it in the comments what success looks like to you. I would love to hear it. But understanding that strategy and planning will not be enough. It will not be sufficient. It will take action. And that is the hardest part about it, is the acting part. Not acting like fake acting, but like actually putting things in motion for yourself is the hardest thing that you can ever do. And honestly, I feel like some men never see it. Some men never act on what they want. They always act on what other people want. They act on what their brothers want, their sister wants, their wife, their mother, their father. They're good at taking orders, but they're not good at ordering themselves to do things, if that makes sense. They're good at someone telling them, hey, do this, but they're not good at telling themselves in their mind, hey, this is what we need to do for us, for me. This is what I need to do for me, right? Until, you could kind of say, until their back is against the wall. But even some people don't even act till then. Some people still shut down even in moments like that. And this isn't me talking about anything dangerous, right? Because I feel like people get lost in the sauce with that. That's not acting. That's reacting. We're not talking about reacting. We're not talking about, if someone had a weapon or something like that, how would you respond? Like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about when you have a plan, when you have a goal, when you have an ambition, when you have a dream, you can have all those things, and you will have all of those things for the rest of your life. You will have dreams, you will have ambitions, you will have goals for the rest of your life. That is no debate. I'm going to be 120 years old, and I'm going to still have dreams. I'm going to still have goals, and I'm going to still have things that I want to do in this life. But none of those things will ever see the fruit of the day if I do not take action. And that is one thing that the military has taught me, as it put me in multiple positions. And like I said, not some dangerous positions, but like not anything super crazy. But it put me in situations that it almost as if it knew what I needed to learn from it, right? And it's like I said, take action, and that action might be speaking to somebody that you normally wouldn't speak to, who's in a position of power. How do you handle something like that? Action. How do you handle chasing the dream that you want, the dream car that you want, the dream job that you want, the dream girl that you want? It's going to take action. There's no way around that. And that's one thing that the military taught me, and I still use into the civilian world. I still use as an up and coming artist. I still use this in school, all this stuff like that. On YouTube, all of these things, I use action. And that's one of the things the military taught me, man, and I'm thankful for it. Go Navy. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Much appreciate the love. Hope everybody's well. Holla at me later. Peace.